Santa Ana kick off? I'm not originally from California, so I don't really know it. So once it gets windy, I said, oh, must be time for the Santa Ana. But they come all the way down here to San Jacinto. As far as being in the house of the Lord today, I got an exciting word today for you from the Lord. We've been going through a theme in the church this new year, dedication, consecration, and commitment. I'm going to continue upon that theme. We're going to preach something along those lines. But as far as we look at dedication, consecration, and commitment, I want to just think about that and talk about that. We should do that in every aspect and area of our life. And I'm not talking about the dedication, consecration, and commitment part, because if you work for somebody, you should be dedicated, committed, consecrated to your job. That's great. Amen. And I'm not talking about it if you do something, an extracurricular activity. You know, maybe you like to read. You say, I want to read as many books as I can this year, and I want to pass somebody up because I want to be the best. Dedication, commitment, and consecration. That's good. Or in the diet plan or the workout plan. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about incorporating God in every part of your life. Amen. Because sometimes we feel like God is good, but He's good in church. God is the blessing of my soul, but Sunday morning, I'm going to make sure I give God His glory on Sunday morning. But what about the other 6 days of the week?
Amen.
I like God, and God is at the forefront and the head of my life, but when somebody makes me mad, all that goes out the window. Amen. I'm talking about dedication, consecration, and commitment to God in everything you do in your life. Amen. Very important. Because one of the things I often say is that a lot of times people want God to be the icing on the cake. But God is the whole cake. Amen? Amen. And then everything else is just, as they say, gravy after that. Well, let's go to 2 Kings. Amen. We want to endeavor to share the word with you this morning. 2 Kings chapter 3. And with keeping of this theme, dedication, consecration, and commitment, I want to go into some areas and aspects of our lives that we need these things in. Now, this subject that I'm going to talk about this morning is controversial. And it's a controversial subject, but hey, welcome to church. That's what you know. God has to get your attention in some way. So this consecration, dedication, and commitment, these things should be done again in everything. But I'm going to deal with some certain subjects. And this subject is a subject that is controversial. And it's the subject of music. Amen?
Amen.
Say, preacher, stay out of my CD. Stay out of my iPad. I give God His praise on Sunday morning, but the rest of the week is mine, and I praise whoever Really? Dedication, consecration, and commitment. In everything in your life. But this morning we're going to deal with music. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that everything that we listen to is going to be holy and have God in it. I'm not saying that. Amen? When you're having an intimate time with your spouse, how you going to play some Christian jam today? You know what I'm saying? Just being honest. Again, come to church. It's going to be a great time. Hopefully this will be something that will open your eyes. Because sometimes as Christians, we don't hear from God. But one of the things we have to understand is that music is an avenue that brings and ushers in God's Spirit into our life. Mm-hmm. So as far as, just like when we come to church. So you shouldn't come to church after the praise and worship because that's the preliminaries. I want to see the main event. That's not what it shouldn't be that. Amen. When we come to church and when we praise and worship God, that should set the tone and set the atmosphere to usher in God's presence into the service. Amen. And we'll see that in the scripture that we're going to read. So it's 2 Kings chapter 3. And the reading is kind of lengthy. So it's chapter 3, verses 9 through 15. So let me go into that. 2 Kings chapter 3, verses 9 through 15. So the king of Israel went up, and the king of Judah, and the king of Edom, and they fetched a compass of 7 days' journey. And there was no water for the host and for the cattle that followed them. And the king of Israel said, Alas, that the Lord has called these three kings together to deliver them into the hand of Moab. But Jehoshaphat said, Is there not a prophet of the Lord that we may inquire of the Lord by him. And one of the kings of Israel's servant answered and said, Here is Elijah, the son of whatever that name is, which poured water on the hand of Elijah. Hey man, that's sometimes some of these words, some of these names, I need some room back here, man. They box me in and then I can't move. Okay, where are we at? All right. Okay, verse 12. And Jehoshaphat said, The word of the Lord is with him. So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat and the king of Edom went down to him. Then Elisha said unto the king of Israel, What have I to do with thee? Give thee to the prophets of thy fathers and to the prophets of thy mother. And the king of Israel said unto him, Nay, for the Lord has called these three kings together to deliver them into the hand of Moab. And Elisha said, As the Lord of hosts liveth, before whom I stand, surely, where is not that I have regarded the presence of Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, I would not look toward thee, nor see thee. And in verse 15, But now bringing me a minstrel, and it came to pass that when the minstrel played, that the hand of the Lord came upon him. All right, now in the other version, in the other text, it says different things. I was looking at my other Bible. Somebody jacked my Bible. Amen. But we're gonna go with that. And when he's talking about in verse 15, he's talking about a minstrel, he's talking about a musician. Amen? And it probably said that in some of your versions. A musician, he called for a musician. And as the musician played, when the minstrel played, the hand of the Lord came upon him. Amen. Let us pray this morning. Open message. And we're going to break it down. That was foggy. That's all right. Don't worry about it. Amen. It'll be there. Let us pray this morning. Reverend Perkins.
Our Heavenly Father, we do come before you again in the name of Christ Jesus, your Son, our Savior. We ask now, Lord, that you would bless this part of the service. Lord, we ask that you would give us ears to hear and hearts to receive what the Holy Spirit would have for us in this service. Well, you know the needs that each one of us have, Lord. Our spiritual, our mental, our physical, our financial needs. And you said you would supply all of those needs. So we ask, as your word goes forth, that the bread of life would be implemented in our hearts and that we would receive exactly what you would have for us as the Holy Spirit speaks to us. We also ask you to bless your servant as he breaks the bread of life. Give him clarity of speech, anoint him afresh by your Spirit, and we'll thank you for it in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. For our text again, 2 Kings chapter 3, I want to take verse 15. But now bring me a musician. And it came to pass when the musician played that the hand of the Lord came upon him, or Elijah. Amen. And again, we're going to preach about dedication, consecration, and commitment in everything. And the subject we're talking about today is music. Amen. Now, here in the scriptures, we read about a particular incident that took place during the time when Jehoshaphat was the king of Israel. Now, a lot of things had transpired before this, and just to set a tone, give me a little time to set this tone, to set the stage for what we're about to preach about. Now, this was a time in Israel's history where they had great influence. They did the things that God called them to do, and they found themselves in a great place. And Moab was a place that owed Israel some money. You ever been there with somebody owed you some money? And then you go to collect it and they act like they ain't got it, but they just bought a new car. Or they act like they ain't got it, but they got a bag of McDonald's. Or they act like they don't have it, but they got on some new clothes. But they owe you money. So this is what happened. So Moab, they owed Israel some money. So the king of Israel said, you know what? I need to do something to collect this money. So what he decided to do is he decided to go to his closest allies to get this money that was owed to him. Now, at the time, Israel and Judah, they were split. It was a divided kingdom, but they came together on certain issues that they needed to come together on. So they came together on this issue. We got to go get this money from Moab because they owe us. So he got together, Jehoshaphat, he got together with the king of Judah. And the king of Judah, they got together with the king of Edom. And they said, we're going to make our way down to Moab. And we're going to get the money that is owed to us by these people. Now, when they came, they didn't just come with peace offerings. And they didn't come to ask people. Because I'm sure they asked them several times to give us our money. But they didn't. Amen. You know what I'm talking about. When the collection people call a million times and say, hey, you know what, you owe some, did you hang up on them and don't? Hey, I do it too, amen. I'll get them next time, or I'll get them when I can. But the thing is that they had already tried the diplomatic way. They had already said, okay, we tried to talk it out, king. You know what, you owe us some money. But the king of Moab said, forget that, I'm not paying y'all jokers nothing. If you want it, come get it. So guess what? They gathered together. They got all these three kings and these three kingdoms. So they made their way down to Moab. But something happened that they didn't expect to happen. You ever been there? On your way to do something and take care of business or get something done and something happened that you didn't expect? Now what happened, what they didn't expect was they had everything together. They had packed all their stuff. They had everything. And when they were on their way there was no water. Now, you can go without food for a while, but you can't go without water for a long time. All right? So, they didn't have any water for their kids. They didn't have any water for their animals. They didn't even have water for themselves. So, they were in a bad place on their way to collect this money from Moab. Now, they realized, Sister Lee, that they wasn't going to win this war thirsty. Because as they fought, and I don't know if any of you ever suffered from dehydration or something, but a lot of weird things happen. You start hallucinating and you know, you use the bathroom on yourself and you don't know where you are and you get cotton mouth and dry mouth and you try to do everything you can to get water. I've heard of instances where people were found in the desert where their cars had stopped on them or something and they were trying to get water so bad that they took cactuses and they were trying to bite them. They had thorns all in their mouth because they were just trying to get some water. It's a bad thing when you don't have no water. I'm not talking about Kool-Aid or anything like that, but water. Amen. So they needed this water. They needed this, so they were in a bad position. So they made their way to Moab. They were on their way, and they discovered they didn't have things that they need. And as I was preparing this, I was thinking about a time in my life. I was in the military, and we were getting ready to train somewhere. And we were going to be gone for a month. And I made sure all my that's all your gear that you need. I made sure all that was together, and I got everything. But when I got, and some of you brothers can say amen to this, I discovered when I got to the field that I didn't have my brush. Amen. Because you want your little waves kicking. I may be in the field, but I can still have my wave. I can still, brush my hair and then look decent while I'm in the field. Not only did I forget my wave brush, but I forgot toothpaste. And I also forgot lotion. Now you know if you're a brother or a sister, you need lotion.
Yes. Come on now.
Come on, you need it. Amen. Skin get dry, get ashy, you can scratch dry on yourself, and I needed these things. So I didn't have my wave brush, didn't have any toothpaste, and I didn't have any lotion. So I started thinking of things to do. All right, so for toothpaste. And I've done this several times. I just use soap. Spray some soap and just, it don't taste good, but hey, gets the job done. Amen? Amen. So for a brush, I didn't really do anything. I just was looking around trying to, so I didn't do anything. I just kept rubbing my hair, trying to get trying to get the waves, kept the waves going. And that didn't work. Amen. But for lotion, now this is funny here. I knew a sister that worked in the mess hall. So, her name was Sister Hunt. She used to go to our church, and I didn't have any lotion, and in the field everything is compact. You only have certain things. You got only enough for you. You don't take a whole bunch of stuff because you got to carry all that junk. And so I went to the mess hall and I said, Sister Hunt, you guys got any cooking oil? She said, cooking oil? What you need that for? I just need it. Amen. I didn't want to tell her. I was, you know how you do. You ask somebody for something.